Over the last decade, Michael has championed and supported the rights of law-abiding Texans to own and use firearms. He is the owner of Central Texas Gun Works, a veteran of the United States Army, and has achieved national exposure in such prestigious media outlets such as Forbes Magazine, Fox Business News, CNN Money, AOL, BBC World News, Huffington Post, and the New York Times. Cargill vigorously defends lawful gun ownership in this country without regard to party politics. And now, here's Michael Cargill.
Good day, Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world. Let's praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. All right, so why in the world, please someone tell me, why is the mainstream media, why do they have this obsession with ghost guns? What's up with this? Also, the Patrick Lyoya shooting was justified. Also, people's respect for humanity is disappearing. And do yourself a favor. Do me a favor, just for me. Take a gun safety class and start shooting back. Take a look at this video out of Florida. It's always in Florida. No, this is actually in Atlanta. Yeah, it's not in Florida. This is Atlanta. So over in Atlanta, police are searching for a gunman who killed a security guard outside of his Southwest Atlanta restaurant on Monday night. This happened this week, folks. So the incident occurred just before 7 p.m. on April 18th outside the American Wings and Seafood restaurant located in a strip mall in a 300 block of Cleveland Avenue. So this is a high-resolution video. It shows detailed information of... it's mounted outside the restaurant, captured the moment a 15-year-old security guard, Anthony Frazier, pulled up in his black GMC SUV.
51-year-old.
51. What did I say?
15.
15? Okay, 51-year-old. Yeah. So the video shows Frazier, who's 51, wearing a shirt that actually says enforcement on the front and back. He parked his vehicle. He got out of the SUV. In the background, there's a man wearing a backpack approach him with his hands in both of his pockets. And the man appeared to be walking quickly as he closed the distance between himself and Frazier, who had just begun walking away from his vehicle, according to the video. Now, suddenly, the video showed the man pulled a handgun out of his right pocket. Then he shot the security guard in the back of the head. Security video showed Frazier fell face down on the sidewalk after he was shot. And the video showed the gunman went to Frazier's body and searched his pockets, then walked away with his stolen booty. Now, the gunman dropped his handgun to the pavement as he walked away, then stooped to pick it up and stashed it before he continued to saunter away. A witness to the shooting, who had been sitting on the curb about 20 feet away from where this took place, just simply got up, watched, and walked away. Then the witnesses got up and walked around the far side of the fallen man's vehicle and walked away as well. Moments later, security video showed that two other men walked around the corner, followed by a woman, and encountered Frazier on the sidewalk. Now, one of the men stooped down and took something out of Frazier's his pocket there, and then two men appeared to argue over it. Then one of the men walked away the same direction that the gunman came from, and they fled away. And the woman and the other man walked away opposite direction, according to the video. Police and paramedics arrived on the scene a few minutes later. Frazier was pronounced dead at the scene. And customers described Frazier as a nice man who made sure they got to their cars safely outside the restaurant. And so this is, very insensitive. It shows it really shows me I actually am growing a lack of respect for humanity here. So you mean to tell me this security guard gets out of a vehicle, guy walks up behind him, shoots him in the back of the head, kills him, and then just onlookers, pedestrians, civilians walk over and just search his pockets and take things out of his pocket. Just sad. No concern, not worried about calling paramedics or law enforcement or anything like that. They're anxious to just go through his pockets and take whatever and then walk away. It's just a sad, very sad situation. And it's just, I'm just losing respect for humanity here. Now, the Atlanta City Councilman Antonio Lewis said he saw Frazier whenever he ate at the restaurant and blamed the lack of gun control in the city for security guard's death. It's not a lack of gun control. It's the fact that the Atlanta City Council, along with other major cities, are not funding their law enforcement. And they're not, and your district attorneys in those cities, Atlanta, just like Austin, Texas, any other major city in the country, the district attorneys are not prosecuting these people, and they can continue to commit more crimes and graduate up to other crimes.
They're not even investigating the crimes to then prosecute them after.
No, not at all. So you're talking these people are committing crimes that are not just going uninvestigated. They're graduating up, so they're saying, hey, well, shoot, that was easy. I did this. Well, let me just go to the next stage. Let's go to the next phase. And they're not even being prosecuted by the district attorney's office. And so they continue to commit these crimes. So that's why I'm saying today, I'm done with it. I'm done telling you, don't do this, don't do that. You know what? If someone's committing aggravated kidnapping, murder, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault, robbery, aggravated robbery, I suggest you pull your gun out and use it. Because by the time police arrive at the scene, they're only going to be there enough time to fill out a report.
But first, you got to have a gun. And second, you got to know how to use it.
And third, you got to be aware of your surroundings at all times.
And fourth, you got to have your gun on you when something happens.
And fifth, be ready to draw that sucker within a matter of seconds.
And sixth, be ready to use it.
Okay, you got me.
And seventh, you got to have U.S. or Texas Law Shield in case you do use it.
That is correct. And, exercise your right to remain silent. Don't be that person that starts talking. Remember, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against your court of law. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. Here's what I do. When I call my attorney, after I've dialed 911, I dial 911 first, then I call my attorney. I make sure no one can read my lips. I make sure no one can hear me. I don't want the police officer with their dash camera to hear me. I don't want any security camera to see my mouth moving. I cover my mouth. And I go somewhere where they can't see me, you can't hear me, and I talk to my attorney and get advice from my attorney.
Yeah, a lot of people think that when the police come after something happens that you just want to tell them everything, right?
Oh, no.
That the innocent person has nothing to hide, just tells the police everything.
The police are not your friend at all. They're there to fill out a report. So don't think they're your buddy. They're not your friend. They're there to fill out a report. So you have to protect yourself, as I like to say it, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, including law enforcement. So exercise your right to remain silent and talk to your attorney and let your attorney give you advice on what to do. And that's how we do it.
Yeah, what do those two attorneys on YouTube say? They say, shut the
F up.
Shut the F up.
That's right. And you need to learn how to do that, because if you don't,
a lot of people can't.
They can't do it. They can't help themselves.
Got a funny story about that after we get back from the break.
We come back from the break, man, Zach's going to tell us a funny story. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
This is Coleon Noir, and you're listening to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight.
So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were complying with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
So, the mainstream media's newest obsession is with ghost guns. They're stuck on this. They can't get off of it. It's like an addictive drug. They're just like, ghost guns, ghost guns. Let's talk about ghost guns. It's like they're trying to influence legislation. They're trying to influence the next phase of what this administration is going to focus on. Also, the Patrick Lyoya shooting was a justified shooting. Also, people's respect for humanity is disappearing. And do yourself a favor, take a gun class and just start shooting back. So, Zach, you got a funny story to tell us.
Oh, yeah. It's basically about shutting up when talking to the police. Okay. So let's rewind about 12 years when I'm in Dallas.
12 years ago, you're in Dallas.
I'm with my buddy. We're out downtown Dallas.
With a homeboy in Dallas.
Yeah. And my homeboy, he drove that night, and we're driving back, leaving this club in downtown Dallas. And he's a bad boy, let me tell you.
Is he bad? How bad is he?
So we're driving in downtown Dallas. He starts driving the wrong way down a one-way.
Uh-oh.
And then these two bicycle policemen wave him down. Stop, stop.
Okay, first of all, there ain't nowhere in the world I'm stopping for a cop on a bicycle. I'm telling you right now, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to work real hard.
But my friend stopped, okay? And he had been drinking a little bit.
Okay.
And so this music in the background's cracking me up.
All right.
But okay. So he stops, and then these police officers are, they're like, hey, you've been drinking? He's like, oh, maybe a little bit. He's, the police are basically saying, hey, we'll let your girlfriend drive. Not me, but a girl that was in the car.
You sure it wasn't you?
And so they're basically saying, hey, we will let your girlfriend drive. But he keeps saying, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm not drunk. And the police say,
if you blow into this.
No, the police say, I want you to shut up right now. If you say another word, you're going to jail.
Shut your mouth.
They told him to shut his mouth and that he would that we would let his girlfriend drive, that she would drive us back home.
There's your sign.
Everything will be fine. And then about 5 seconds pass, and he says, oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
He couldn't shut up.
And I said, all right, you're going to jail. He could not shut up.
Oh,
they
man.
could not. They told him to shut up. and he would not shut up.
Well, he learned that day.
And then they took him to jail, and his girlfriend drove us back home without him in the car, bailed him out of jail the next day.
About $15,000 later.
Not that much. No.
After bail, attorney.
I'm sure there were some fees involved.
Oh, yeah, there's some fees involved.
Uh-huh.
Attorney fees, yeah. Uh-huh.
Even the cops told him to shut up, and he wouldn't.
Mm.
So some people just want to talk.
Can't help themselves.
Uh-huh.
They just got to tell. I need to tell my
Yeah,
story.
they think that, if I say this to the cop, if I tell him that, if I just say thank you, then they'll be appreciative.
Yeah. No.
But
No. What was that accent there?
Accent?
Yeah, there's an accent you just gave me right now.
Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, I got you.
Was
All
it
right.
my twang? Did my twang come out?
No, it wasn't your twang. It was like an
No?
English accent.
Be appreciative.
You didn't even
So,
catch. You didn't even catch.
good
yourself.
chap.
Yeah, I'm telling on you right now.
I'm hanging out with too many
Brilliant.
Englishmen.
All right, so gun violence has become a leading cause of death among U.S. youth. I don't know if you guys knew this or not. So according to, let's see, there's an article in the New England Journal of Medicine. Gun violence overtook car accidents as the leading cause of death among children and adolescents in the U.S. in 2020. What happened in 2020? COVID.
I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you.
Oh, and defund the police, right?
And defund the popo. All happened in 2020.
Yeah.
Right,
I
so-
remember there were a bunch of protests against Austin police in 2020.
A lot of them.
The summer of 2020 is when it really ramped up.
Yeah, they wanted to block the interstate.
They blocked the interstate. They
Took
firebombed cars
Yeah.
under 6th Street and 35, I believe.
Graffitied the police department. Yeah, yeah.
Graffitied the police department. The police department had to set up
Barricade.
barricades and fences.
Right. To
Along the
protect
police
the
station
police
now.
department.
Mhm.
And I'm telling, and it wasn't like, was it Washington State or Portland, Oregon, where they took over a substation? Actually went into a police
Yeah,
substation and took it over.
Yep.
And they took over the whole area called the Chad.
The Chad.
Remember the Chad?
I don't even remember what it stands
Yeah,
for.
yeah,
but
yeah.
Autonomous District.
Right, yeah. So
Chapel Hill, right?
took over the whole area.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So according to the analysis of mortality data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, it revealed that nearly 30% increase in gun-related deaths among Americans up to age 19 between 2019 and 2020. Now, these deaths include incidents of suicide, accidental shootings, and homicides, with homicides outpacing the other two categories. The number of deaths from car accidents and gun homicides among infants, children, and young adults has been growing closer since 2016. Now, drug overdoses and poisoning increased by more than 80% between 2019 and 2020. And the researchers found to become the third leading cause of death among this demographic. Man, that's crazy. That's a lot. And we knew gun violence had increased, but I was surprised by the level of increase for just 1 year. So I knew 2020 was going to be a bad year, with people being shut in.
Totally just locked down.
Yeah, you can't, you need that interaction with other people. And if you don't have that interaction, you can't touch someone, you can't feel someone, their presence, it causes problems. And so we definitely saw this. So it's not about guns, it's about COVID.
Do you remember when COVID first really hit back in March of 2020?
Yes.
And they told you, you got to live in fear, even going to the grocery store.
I was like, I'm not staying inside.
Do not hang out with any of your friends or
I'm
family.
good. I hung out with everybody. I had parties.
But they told you, other people knew more about the realities of the lockdowns and not seeing people.
And that's how we got introduced to it, the new favorite place that we go to and have food and drinks. Because they were the only place that was open. Everyone else was shut down.
Which place?
I'm not saying. So they were open and everyone else was shut down. I was like, you know what? Let's all go to this place. And I remember in April, there was like a wedding reception in this place. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting at the bar and there was like at least 70 people inside this place. And I'm thinking, man, this is it. I'm definitely going to get COVID. Yeah, it's going to happen right now. And I didn't get it, and I didn't get it. Nothing happened. If I did feel something, didn't notice it, I was like, we're good. We're in the clear. Because if I don't die now, I'm not going. You're not going to get rid of me that easy. So I'm here to stay. This is a tough body right here.
You're
let
not
me tell
going
you.
anywhere.
Not going nowhere. It's a tough body. You have to run me over. So the rise in shooting deaths among the nation's youngest is part of a larger increase in homicides that same time period. So gun homicides across the U.S. rose 33% in 2020, according to this same study. This increase was disparately felt by Black Americans who, despite making up 14% of the U.S. population, accounted for nearly half of the nation's homicide victims. Half. Even though the Black community is only 14% of the population, the Black community accounted for half of the nation's homicide. That's a parenting issue. Boy, we need to talk about who your parents are and what's going on.
Well, in 2020, there were 12.2 million Americans that seriously thought about suicide. 3.2 million planned a suicide attempt, and 1.2 million attempted suicide.
And the media, they don't like talking about suicides. They're like, no, let's not talk about suicides. Because if we talk about suicides, more people are going to commit suicide. Then I'm like, why do you discuss shootings?
Yeah, why do they talk about shootings?
Why do you discuss homicides?
24/7?
That makes no sense to me. Oh, well, yeah. We talk about that, but we don't talk about suicides. Because we did talk about suicides. More people will commit suicide. That makes no sense. I don't get it. Makes no sense whatsoever. Now, one of the young people killed in 2020 was Andre Robinson Jr., who was 19 when he was shot in the back on 8th of November while delivering breakfast to his girlfriend's Oakland, California home. Another was Aaron Pryor, a football player who was shot and killed in the same city on the 27th of September, less than a month after his 16th birthday. I tell you, as a 53-year-old Black male boy, I'm just excited to be, man. I'm excited to be, 53. Because good Lord, 16, 19, and lose your life, and you're just going from point A to point B? That's sad. We need to talk about the community. This is where it goes to church. The churches need to get into the community and talk to your members and see what you can do in those communities. We need to talk to our family members and talk about how to grow that family unit and how to love each other and respect each other, respect, that human presence and to respect that body. Because once you pull a gun out, you've discharged that firearm. It goes through a body. That will change a lot of lives, and it will change lives forever. And we got to learn how to respect each other and respect human life, because life is very precious. And once you pull that gun out and use it, and you take that life, you need to make sure that's something you definitely want to do, because I guarantee you that will change your life forever. We come back from the break. We got some more stories to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about ghost guns. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Hi, this is Stephen Williford, the Barefoot Defender. I get my global gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean, or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you, without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendants Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs but you say something incriminating on your own without being questioned, those statements can and will be used against you because you're not being interrogated. You're just starting to spout off. This is why it's imperative that you know your rights.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so today we're talking about the mainstream media's newest obsession in ghost guns. We're talking about Patrick Lyoya, that shooting that took place. And we also, I've just lost respect in humanity, after watching a security officer shot in the head and then robbed right afterwards, and then, so that's why I'm just suggesting people, take your own personal safety in your own hands. That's the best way to handle that. But you know what? Chris Rock's mother doesn't consider Will Smith Oscar banned punishment, enough. And so the problem with that is Chris Rock, and I'm just wondering, there we go. Chris Rock, sorry, I'm getting feedback in here. I couldn't figure out what the feedback was from. So, and Chris Rock's mother comes out and speaks out, Chris Rock. And I'm thinking, if my mother comes out and speaks out against something that happened to me, then that pulls me down as lesser of a man. The last thing I want is my mother to come out and try to defend me. I'm a grown man. I should be able to defend myself.
I mean, it's a pretty hot take, everything about Will Smith and Chris Rock. I mean, if you just forget about the fact that, it's probably a cover for trying to get us to stop talking about something else. If we just take it for what it is, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, then
at that moment in time, he probably needs to be slapped.
Okay, from the way I see it, you got two sides. One side says, oh, Will Smith, such a great guy defending his wife.
Right.
And the other side is, hey, we got to be able to make jokes without the person making jokes getting physically assaulted.
On live TV in front of millions of people around the world.
Who is in the right? The guy defending his wife's honor because of a G.I. Jane joke? Or,
clearly.
The guy making the joke.
Clearly, everyone's in the wrong here. But just because someone does something or says something to me doesn't mean I need to physically assault that person. I actually use some conflict resolution skills, pull that person to the side after this event and say, look, I did not appreciate, what you did. And please, my wife is going through this experience right here. It's affecting her life. It's affecting our entire family. You may not be aware what's happening to my wife. So let me tell you what's happening to her. And, she's bothered by that. And you put her in a very bad position. You hurt her feelings by, bringing this up for the world to hear. There are better ways of handling that. You just can't, you don't have a right to assault someone just because you dislike what they say.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it being okay, if he called her a
right,
if he called her like something really horrendous, if he just said she was that, then, there's a little bit more grounds to do that. But just a joke about,
honestly,
Jane.
When I look at the video, he laughed.
He laughed.
Will Smith laughed about it. And then
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
And then he looks over at his wife, and she's not laughing. And so he's like, I better do something. I better do something to do it right now. So there's a lot. There's something going on in that relationship.
Yeah, he laughed.
That's
the first part of that joke. Yeah. Yep, you called that.
That's a toxic relationship there. Something's going on there. So, something's up.
Oh, do you know about the previous history of this relationship?
No, do tell.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Give it to me.
So Will Smith and Jada were on live TV on an interview, and she basically admits that she was having
An affair.
an affair with a younger rapper about their son's age,
Well,
and that their relationship was
more energy.
Was energetic in nature.
Yes, that's what
I
it
don't know if I
sounds
can
like to
say
me.
that, but yeah, some guy named what was his name? August or Augustus or something, something like that. I can't remember his exact
Hardcore.
name. But yeah, he's basically some young rapper that she was sleeping with, and that he was like, "Oh, you're doing what with him?"
Oh, he was.
She's like,
wow.
"Yeah, I don't need your permission." She said that on live TV. I don't need your permission.
Yeah, something. There's a lot.
I'm
going
a
on.
strong, empowered woman.
Definitely something going on in that relationship, and it's.
Oh, we already know that.
Yeah.
That she was having extramarital.
There's a little head game going
fun.
on there. Big, huge head game.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's why I don't get too sucked into it.
Yeah, he is her pawn, basically.
Big time.
Uh-huh.
It happens all the time. Let's see. That's Chris Rock. Oh man, I lost it. So I do want to talk about. Oh, you want to talk about rare breed triggers? What's going on with rare breed triggers?
Oh yeah, that would be very interesting to talk about. So
rare breed triggers.
Rare breed triggers, as most of us know, have been they've been sent a cease and desist letter that they stopped selling their forced reset trigger.
Right.
They sold what's called a FRT 15.
What are those things?
It's a forced reset trigger.
What does it do?
So when you fire an AR-15, this is a trigger designed for the AR-15 platform. When you fire this trigger, the bolt travels backwards, just like with any other trigger. When you fire an AR-15, the bolt travels back. It pushes the buffer tube, pushes the buffer back in the buffer tube, and the bolt comes forward again to chamber the next round and go into reset. It's just like any other trigger, but on its way back with a forced reset trigger, like the rare breed trigger, your bolt comes back and it pushes this part of the trigger that forces the trigger back into reset. Hence the name forced reset trigger. And it pushes the trigger forward even if your finger is pulled on it. So that means when you pull the trigger in slow motion, the bolt comes back, it comes forward, and it pushes the trigger forward in your finger. Okay. So then if you apply pressure to that trigger, you fire very quickly. Very quickly. And that type of trigger, because you are pulling the trigger every time, it's classified as a semi-automatic. It is not a machine gun, because a machine gun fires multiple rounds with one pull of the trigger.
Right.
But with this trigger, you're pulling the trigger over and over, even though it's resetting under your finger. And now, it was the ATF that sent a cease and desist letter to Rare Breed that told them to quit selling that trigger. Rare Breed did not. They continued to sell the trigger because
a cease and desist letter means nothing.
There's a cease and desist letter.
Stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah, we don't like it.
Bite me.
Yeah, Congress said one thing, that a machine gun is one thing, but we say that it's something different.
And then the boo-boo, stick your head in doo-doo.
Yeah, that's what the ATF says. They defined machine gun as something that fires multiple rounds with one pull of the trigger, and then they define the rare breed trigger, the forced reset trigger, as a trigger that, you have to pull multiple times to fire each round. And then they say, therefore, that makes the rare breed trigger a machine gun, which it's like...
It's bollocks.
X equals Y,
Right.
Which doesn't actually compute. And so they sent that letter to Rare Breed. And they also issued an open letter to every licensed gun dealer in the U.S. telling them that in the ATF's opinion, the forced reset trigger is a machine gun. But Daniel O'Kelly, who is basically the former technical director of the ATF, he is now an expert witness. He was an expert witness for the ATF, and now he has basically come out and said, hey, this rare breed trigger is not a machine gun. You can't classify it as that.
Mm.
And so now, if the ATF wants to try and go after anybody with a rare breed trigger, they have to basically discredit this guy who has been used as an expert witness for the ATF in court.
So that means they discredit him. They got to
They
discredit.
discredit all past cases that they've done before.
Is that a hill you want to climb? What did it say? Are we willing to climb that hill?
Yep.
Because I'd be like, oh, excuse me, he's been discredited. Can I get my case thrown out? Can we rehear my case again, please? Because your star witness, the one that fried me, has been discredited.
Yeah, because Congress is the only one that can make law.
That's right.
Not the ATF.
That's right.
The definition of a machine gun, as put forth by Congress, says that a single function of the trigger, not a single continuous pull of the trigger,
right. We have
makes it a machine gun.
3 branches of government, not a 4th subsect.
Yeah, not a 4th.
Not a 4th stepchild. We have 3 branches of government.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they will basically have to go back and discredit this guy that they've used as their expert witness if they want to go forward with this.
That's interesting. That's a slippery slope, and I don't think they want to climb that hill. So that tells me that probably none of your prosecutors are going to want to stand up and take any of these cases to court.
No, they've actually said that. Yeah, they've said that the prosecutors will not prosecute this because of the fact that they can't win.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's no way, because then that's a bad precedent. And I know they're not willing to climb that hill. That's hilarious. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Man, good to know. So,
And as we know, the ATF has just released basically a letter about 80% lowers.
And don't go out and poke the bear. So if you're going to get your rare trigger, get it, enjoy it.
Well, they're sold out.
Yeah. Don't post videos online. Don't send a ATF a letter asking them a question, trying to call a question or whatever you want to call it. Just let it go and just let's move on, because they're not going to be able to do anything.
You think that's the way to do it?
Don't poke the bear.
You don't think you should just walk up to the bear while it's sleeping and put your finger in its mouth?
Don't agitate the bear. You're gonna get the response you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So
what if you have Texas Law Shield?
I'm still not gonna poke the bear. I don't want to get. There's responses I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want. You know what I'm saying?
You don't want any undue scrutiny,
right? I don't want to have to go through years and years of litigation because I poked the bear. I don't want to go through years and years of litigation because I asked a question.
Let somebody else do that.
Yeah, don't do it. All right, so yeah, take the 5th. Thomas says, I'm taking the 5th. I'm going to exercise my right to remain silent. I'm not posting videos of myself, firing any of these guns at all with rare breed triggers on them whatsoever. So keep it to myself. Enjoy my pleasures at home or on the conference of my own little range there. All right, enjoy yourself. All right, we come back from the break. We got to talk about police stops. I'm going to talk about that. Police stops. Police stops of black people often filled with fear and anxiety. And it's all about the Patrick Lyoya and how he disobeyed an officer during a traffic stop. We come back from the break, going to talk about that and more. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Peace, this is Maj Toure. You're listening to Come and Talk It Radio with Michael Cargill.
Hello, my name is Edwin Walker. I'm an independent program attorney with Texas Law Shield. I want to talk to you today about an issue that we see on a daily basis. In fact, you yourself will encounter it on a daily basis, and that is the subject of road rage. I am sure that you have all seen road rage. You may have actually been involved in a road rage incident. Now, if you're a responsible gun owner, I'm going to give you a few words of advice on how to react when you find yourself in one of these unfortunate road rage incidents. While on the roadways, we all observe something that makes us upset. whether it's poor driving, unsafe driving, or just simply somebody being very discourteous. By all means, you should restrain yourself from engaging that person and telling them how bad their actions were, because this can be perceived as an act of road rage. If you're a lawful gun owner, you have a firearm in your vehicle, you do not want to be viewed as the aggressor in a road rage situation. Now, with regard to a situation where an individual has chosen to rage against you, and you are the actual victim of the road rage, if you and the other individuals are still in their automobiles, do not use your firearm to respond to any of the rager's activities. This is because law enforcement views the fact that you're both still safely in your metal boxes as removing any threat of immediacy that you may be harmed. So please, if you have a gun, somebody is raging against you, forget you have a gun. Don't display it, don't brandish it, don't show it, don't point it, and for God's sake, don't fire it. This could result in a lot of trouble for you. Now let's look at a situation where a road rage incident has escalated. It has escalated to the point where one of the participants has actually gotten out of their vehicle. We recommend that you stay in your vehicle at all times. Do not exit your vehicle, because the person who exits their vehicle is going to be looked at as the aggressor. If the other individual has exited their vehicle and they are not in contact with your vehicle and they do not have a weapon, then do not feel that you can display your weapon in an act of self-defense. People are allowed to just simply stand there and scream at you, scream whatever they want. Until they make a demonstrative effort to try to harm you, there is no immediate threat that would justify displaying or shooting or brandishing your firearm. Now, in the event that the person shows their own weapon, in particular a firearm, the existence of their weapon would give you reasonable belief that there was an immediate threat of harm that would justify an act of force or deadly.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're back and we're talking about, shootings and traffic stops and all that good kind of stuff. So there's like a lot of video about there. You can go to YouTube and just watch video after video after video. And you have the George Floyd video, you have Patrick Lyoya, and Patrick Lyoya disobeyed an officer during a traffic stop, and he tried to run, then wrestle with the officer over his taser before the officer fatally shot him in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So, and shooting after shooting after shooting. And I'm going to tell you, this is how you don't put yourself in those situations, okay? Even if an officer is being overly aggressive, which that's usually how my traffic stops go. I'm always getting yelled at, by a police officer. So, you're going to let them go, let them yell. It's not about winning that particular, encounter. It's about, you want to win the war, but you're going to lose that fight right there. Yes, I'm going to lose this fight, but I want to win the war. Okay, so an officer pulls me over, being overly aggressive, has had a bad day, yelling and screaming at me. That's fine. Let this officer yell and scream. It's okay. It's not a big deal to me. I don't care. I don't have an ego like that where, I'm worried about him yelling or she yelling and screaming. So I'm going to follow the officer's instructions. The officer asked me to step out of the vehicle and then step out of the vehicle. Out of everything this officer tells me to do, I'm going to do everything the officer tells me to do. There's one thing I will not do. And that one thing is if an officer tells me to remove my gun, or put my hands on my gun or put my gun out and put it down somewhere, I'm never going to do that. I will never touch my firearm at all. I would always allow an officer to remove the firearm from me. That's the one thing I will not do. But I will follow all other instructions. If the officer is demanding me pull my gun in my holster or something like that, I will just simply tell this officer, I do not feel comfortable doing that. You're going to have to remove the firearm from me. As simple as that. I'm not going to raise my voice and get all excited and all that good kind of stuff. You got to remain calm and kind of take charge of your emotional feelings. Do not allow someone to take charge of your feelings. Don't let them control you. You control the situation. So, this person's getting upset. They're aggressive. You got to remain calm. Take control of that situation. You control the tone and the direction that the conversation is going. And, keep your hands in plain sight. And then the officer asks you to step out of the vehicle. And you step out of the vehicle. Keep your hands in plain sight. Don't move fast. Take your time. Slow and smooth is how I like to do it. Just like we're teaching people how to shoot and do different things, slow and smooth. Take your time. If you're slow, it's smooth, everything will go perfect. And then you step out of the vehicle. The officer asks you to put your hands on the vehicle. You put your hands on the vehicle. Officer grabs you, throws you to the ground. Let them do whatever they're going to do. If I am scratched, if I start bleeding, I'm suing. I'm telling you right now, I'm getting a good attorney, and I'm suing for every scratch, every scrape I have on my body. But I'm going to allow them to do whatever they're doing, okay, and get through that traffic stop. Because it's about winning the war, not winning that battle or that skirmish. That's what it's about. So follow their instructions and do what they ask you to do. And you will get through that traffic stop and go home. And if you are scratched, if you are hurt, if any bones broken, then you're going to be good to go. You'll have as many Chick-fil-A sandwiches as you want, large fries, Big Macs. You'll be able to treat everyone to a great meal. So just relax. Don't take it personally. All their instructions, and you get through those traffic stops. That's what I see in a lot of videos. In this video, now it's coming to mind. Now I remember the video now. And it was this guy was pulled over by a police officer. And so the officer walks up to the vehicle because he had like a broken tail light or something like that. And we're talking about the Patrick Lyoya shooting. So the officer asked this guy, when the officer pulled him over, Patrick Lyoya jumped out of the vehicle immediately. The officer said, "No, get back in the vehicle and give me your driver's license." And Patrick Lyoya was so concerned, "Why are you stopping me? Why are you pulling me over? Why are you putting your lights on?" It's not a big deal. Let this officer do what they do. They're doing an investigation. Let them conduct their investigation, figure things out, and then you're probably going about your way and going about your day. But he was so concerned with trying to get this officer to tell him, "Why did you stop me? Why did you pull me over?" Let the officer do what they're going to do. So if they're going to write you a ticket, guess what? They're going to write you a ticket. There's nothing you can do to stop them from writing you a ticket. They're going to write the ticket, whatever it is. So instead of just getting back in the vehicle, hand the officer his driver's license, he decides to stand there and argue and debate the issue and refuse to get back in the vehicle. The officer's asking for his identification, asking for a registration of the vehicle or something like that, something of that nature. And instead of getting that for the officer and getting back in the vehicle, he stays outside the vehicle and continues to argue with the officer. It gets to the point where they get moved to the grass on the other side of the vehicle in front of someone's house. It gets to the point where they start wrestling, pulling, the officer's trying to put him in handcuffs now because he's not complying. When my parents were involved in a shooting, where someone, crawled through the second floor of their master bathroom window, and they had to shoot and stop this person. And my mother opened the front door. One of the very first things I said to my mother is, don't have a gun in your hand when you open the door. Put the gun down on the table, then open the door, and then listen to the officer's instructions. Because immediately, the officers don't know that in that particular situation, that's your house. They don't know you're the homeowner. They don't know if you're the good guy, the bad guy. They don't know. All they know, they got a call. There's a shooting. They got to take charge of the situation and figure things out. So they removed my parents from the house, separate them, put them in two separate vehicles, and took them to the police station. You have to allow the officers to do their job and figure things out. So instead of him complying, they make it over to the grassy area. Now he's trying to put him in handcuffs. Can't put him in handcuffs. Now the officer pulls out the taser, goes to hit him with the taser. He kind of misses. This guy grabs the officer's taser, takes the officer's taser away, ends up wrestling on the ground. The officer ends up pulling out his gun, ends up shooting this guy because now he has the officer's taser in his hand. Officer shoots him in the back of the head, kills him. And I'm telling you, it's totally justified. And that could have all have been avoided. It could have been avoided because all he had to do was just comply. It was a simple traffic stop of a broken tail light. Turned out that I think the license plate did not belong on that vehicle. And I'm not sure Patrick Lyoya actually had a valid driver's license. So, it was just one thing after the other. And all he had to do was just comply and accept a couple written tickets that he was going to get and go on about his day. But instead, he's dead. And now there's a huge uproar in Michigan about this particular, incident. And it all could have been avoided. It all could have been avoided. And now we have two families' lives that have changed forever because we're so big and we're getting caught in our egos and not want to listen to each other, listen to what the other person is saying, and try to work through the issues that we're having. Everyone wants to talk and no one wants to listen. And that's part of the problem. George Floyd's 2020 slaying by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, the 2014 strangulation death of Eric Garner by a New York City officer, and the shooting death of Michael Brown that same year by an officer in Ferguson, Missouri, are among high-profile encounters that prove deadly, for a lot of people. But you got to comply. Derek Chauvin definitely should have been charged in the situation with George Floyd because that incident never should have escalated to that point. Eric Garner, that officer should have been charged and convicted in that situation because it never should have escalated to that point. Eric Garner was not resisting. Michael Brown, don't know. There's no video. Not sure about what happened in that situation. So we have to let the jury decide, and hopefully the jury did the right thing for whatever information they were provided. Don't know. I don't have a clue. I have nothing go on there. A store employee called police saying Floyd allegedly tried to pass a counterfeit $20 bill. A $20 bill should not cost you your life. Comply. Let the officers do what they want to do. It's, $20, whatever. If you comply, maybe they'll let you just pay for whatever the item is that you're trying to get. You never know. They have bigger fish to fry. So don't take things so serious. It's not all about you. It's, get out of your own head, just let things go. It's not that serious. What do you think?
I mean, hey, the government's just printing money every day, right? Did you know that of all the money in circulation, did you know that 80% of it is new as of the last 2 years?
2020, baby.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, there was only 20% of all the money that's in circulation now.
Yeah.
Is that believable?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe it.
They just print money.
Yeah.
Why can't George Floyd?
Hey,
Right?
The government can do it. He should be able to do it.
Yeah, he should be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We come back from the break. We got a little more to talk to you about. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Folks, this is Doug Man Jones. And I get my gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02, The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were complying with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
Producer, give you a call. Hey. All right, we're back and we're talking about, let's see. Man, I want to talk about ghost guns. Ghost guns and the Biden administration's new rule to curb them. Zach, tell us about these ghost guns.
Yeah, well, they let out a letter of maybe 200 pages, basically trying to outlaw something known as the 80% lower receiver, which is basically something that's been legal for quite some time, where the lower receiver of a firearm is not complete, and they were allowed to be sold to individuals without requiring an FFL to actually facilitate the transfer, and they were not a serialized firearm. And Biden is urging the ATF to stop this at once.
Oh,
and the ATF has just let out a letter, I believe it was last week, with new regulation on incomplete receivers.
Yeah. And I don't know what's their obsession of ghost guns here. What is, I don't understand the big deal.
They're afraid of ghosts,
Is that what it is?
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
You're not. He ain't afraid of no ghosts. I tell you, I don't know the infatuation by that. We'll find out. But you know what? I want to bring.
I can tell you what the infatuation
Go
is.
ahead,
If
tell
you really
me.
want to know.
Tell me. Inquiring minds want to know.
These are receivers that are not serialized and documented to the ATF.
Okay.
And we have recently found out that the ATF has been keeping records of all transfers. Right? They said they didn't, but they have been. And they've also changed regulations for FFLs that they no longer can only keep their records for 20 years, but now they have to keep them forever.
Oh no! Don't do that to me. Really? Okay.
No, it's not you.
It's
Just-
not.
I'm saying it, right?
Okay. You think that's what they want to do?
Well, they want to know every firearm that's gone, and they want to know its entire route. They want to know who has it, who had it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
All right, but you know what? We're going to come back to that because I have on the phone Philip Smith, and Philip is the founder of the National African American Gun Association. And there's a new law that was signed. It actually passed the Georgia legislature there. It was signed by the governor. It's going to affect their constitutional carry law. And Phil, welcome to Come and Talk It, sir.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
All right. Sorry to catch you in a restaurant. I know it's like 6 p.m. in Atlanta prime time to eat dinner and all that good kind of stuff. And I called you totally out of the blue, literally a second ago. And
it's all right. We know us Southern folks are. We got to have our food at 6, so it's good.
I know. And my parents are in Atlanta right now. They're actually in Snellville, Georgia. They're eating dinner too. So I truly apologize for this, sir.
No, not at all.
All right. So, but I do want to ask you about this constitutional carry for Georgia. Kind of like, tell me a little bit about the law, what your thoughts are about this, and how you think it's going to affect Georgia residents.
In essence, the law is going to allow anyone that has been able to pass the background check to purchase a gun. And when you purchase that gun, they'll be allowed to conceal automatically. You don't have to go through the conceal carry step 2 process, which I did and many other thousands and thousands of other Georgians. It allows you, in my estimation, to protect yourself that much quicker with no delay, with no fingerprints, no more photos that have to be taken. And you can just grab a gun legally, pass the background check, and then you can walk out and conceal carry, which I think is a very good thing for everyone.
Okay. And I kind of like Texas. I like Texas how we actually we have constitutional carry also, by the way, that actually went into effect on September the 1st of 2021. But I like our license to carry handgun program because we actually do a class that's 4 to 6 hours long where we talk about use of force and deadly force and all that good kind of stuff. We go over all the laws, where you can, where you cannot take a gun. We're in Texas, and it's all about educating people, as far as that. But then we have constitutional carry that comes along, which, should be, everyone should have a right to be able to, as long as you can pass the background check, to be able to carry the gun. But I still think it's important for people to take a class, and get some training and be proficient with the firearm. And also, I think, learn a little of the laws.
Yeah, and I agree. I think, and most folks are going to do that. They're going to buy their gun. They're going to get trained. We certainly advocate that within our organization, and our folks do. And I think most, common sense folks who buy a gun, they're going to say, hey, I've never really shot a gun. So let me go out and get, a certified trainer, NRA, USCCA, whatever the case may be,
right,
and get that training. So I think, most people they're very practical in terms of buying a gun. We're not going to go out there and do something that's crazy.
Correct.
Particularly law-abiding citizens. We know what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, absolutely. How you think this is going to fare in Georgia? You think are we going to have any repercussions?
Love it. I think everybody that I've spoken to that's a law-abiding gun owner loves the fact that we have constitutional carry in Georgia. Now, obviously, there's some folks that don't agree with that,
right,
but that's for them to deal with. The state, I think, is moving in a great direction in terms of constitutional carry. It's certainly something that we back as a pro-2A organization, a pro-constitutional carry organization. I know our members we're giddy.
Right.
We've been very, very happy because I think it's a long time coming. Too often, and I'll say this to everyone who's listening to me, I get lots and lots of calls, especially from the ladies that are in domestic abuse situations. They need to go out and buy a gun as fast as possible, and they want to carry that gun with them as soon as possible. Oftentimes that 30-day or 6 weeks or 8 weeks delay in getting your concealed carry license can mean life or death. And now those types of situations, you don't have to wait. You can buy your gun right there, begin carrying, begin protecting yourself, and also take lessons as soon as possible. And I think that's a win-win-win, not only for the 2A community, but particularly women or those folks that are under duress based on somebody trying to hurt them. So I think it's a great thing.
Right. And Philip Smith is the founder of the National African American Gun Association. And in 2020, was a really big year for the National African American Gun Association. The membership grew dramatically in 2020 and 2021. what do you have to say about that, Philip?
Yeah, it's amazing. And bear in mind, God forbid, COVID was a game changer for all of us, regards to your color, your political leanings, whatever. But it directly impacted our organization in such an exponential way. We're up to 45,000 members now. At some point, we had 2,500 people join from Monday to a Monday morning. So it's really this. People have been joining, typically about 1,000 new members per month, even up until now. So those are big numbers for us. They're not Google, they're not Facebook, but for us, being a little guy on the block, that means a lot for us.
Right. Yeah, and I like it because people are coming to the National African American Gun Association to get training and get educated.
Oh, absolutely.
And
that's something we, as you know, we focus on training and education, and more training and more education, more training. I mean, that's what we do. That's our core. We're not a political animal at all. We have Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians. We have some folks that don't even want to talk about politics, whatever that's their choice. But you come to NAGA, regardless of your color, we have many folks outside of our community, white, Asian, Latino, that have been joining in droves, because what we represent is you can come to us, we're going to give you a high five, we're going to give you a big hug and say, welcome, brother, welcome, sister, regardless of who you are, and you're going to learn about a gun. You're going to learn how to hold it. Isosceles versus Weaver, shotgun versus pistol at home for self-defense, AK-47 versus AR. You're going to learn all those conversations and those topics, and you're going to learn in a very detailed manner so that when you walk out the door, we're not going to say you're going to be, Jason Bourne, but you'll certainly have a level of confidence when you go through our training over a matter of months and years. That's going to allow you to have confidence when you carry that gun, or if someone breaks through your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, at least gives you a chance. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but we believe our training gives you a level of confidence and expertise that is needed if you're going to be a gun owner in America today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's a news article that came out this week that said pro-gun group argues Georgia's new gun law could be dangerous. And I was like, and I didn't like that article. I didn't like the tone that they were taking in the article. So I said, you know what? Let me give Philip a call and let Philip.
I tell you, man, I'm going to say this. I almost chewed somebody's head off. Literally.
Oh, I can imagine. That's why I had to give you a call. I said, let me give Philip a call and let Philip talk about this law.
Because we are a gun organization. We are obviously pro-2A. We're pro-constitutional carry. And the conversation I had with the reporter who was just trying to sensationalize the title by making it seem we were anti-gun, and I called him up. I called his editor up, his manager, and said, look, I will never talk to you guys again. If that's the way you guys do business, just to try to get a few more clicks on your website, I get it. Thank you. I'll never talk to you guys again. And that's what happened. I mean, we literally had to get our legal on the phone with them to get them corrected.
I didn't even have to ask you about it. I immediately knew. I immediately knew. I didn't even have to, I know you. Didn't have to ask you. And I know this organization. I follow. I'm a member of National African American Gun Association. So I was like, I know what's going on, and it's Huffington Post. I immediately knew. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get Philip on, ask Philip some questions, and boom, I knew the direction it was going to go without even saying anything.
Oh yeah, as you guys know, and so you, Mike, I am pro-America, pro-2A all the way. And I believe that the African American community, we need to step up, really back the 2A community and get active in terms of our voice. Make sure everyone understands that there are black folks out there that really like guns, and we're here to stay. We're not going away, and we're going to back our other brothers in the 2A community when it comes to conversations, arguments, fights. We're all in this together.
That's right.
And regardless of where you are, or where you live, what you look like, and we have to. That's the bigger message I try to really put up to everybody in our organization. We're all family. We're all part of the 2A family. And let's fight together, because we'll go a lot further together than individuals stepping up and trying to fight for all of us.
That's right. And, Philip Smith, founder of the National African American Gun Association, tell me how people can find you and your group.
Sure, absolutely. Go to www.naaga.co. Please join. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have your input. We're looking for members all the time, and we'd love to have you become part of our brotherhood and our sisterhood. As I told Michael, we'll give you a big hug and a kiss and welcome you on, and definitely like to have as many members, our new members, potentially join and have you part of the family.
All right. Thank you, Philip Smith, founder of the National African American Gun Association. Sir, please go back and finish your dinner. I apologize, sir. Thank you.
It's getting cold, but it was worth it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, that's Philip Smith, the founder of the National African American Gun Association. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
This is Brittany Glaze, and I get my global gun news from Michael Cargill on Come and Talk It.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs but you say something incriminating on your own without being questioned, those statements can and will be used against you because you're not being interrogated. You're just starting to spout off. This is why it's imperative that you know your rights and you shouldn't rely on the police to read them to you. Affirmatively invoke your rights. Say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and my right to my attorney. Once you do that, the police legally shouldn't continue questioning you without your attorney present. But remember, there's a second part to this equation. After invoking your rights, you must exercise those rights. That means you have to keep your mouth closed. Protect yourself. Don't let the legal system take advantage of you after an incident. And Law Shield members, if you've been involved in a self-defense incident, remember to call the emergency hotline and speak with your independent program attorney.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we got a couple things we got to get through. I want to get through this within like 10 minutes here. All right, so what the left gets wrong about ghost guns. What do you think they're getting wrong about ghost guns?
What are they getting right about them?
I know, right? Well, the spike in crime has nothing to do with firearms enthusiasts building guns in their garages and home workshops. That's not what it's all about.
You know what ghost guns used to be?
What it used to be?
They used to be regular guns.
Regular guns.
That were sold on the black market that had their serial numbers filed off.
Oh, that's what I know of a ghost gun. Mm-hmm. But now the media's turned into something totally different.
Yeah, so what would happen if somebody came to your shop and tried to sell you a gun that had a serial number filed off?
Oh, man, we would call the police and talk to them until the police got there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going straight to jail. Don't drop the soap.
So that was previously what they called ghost guns.
That's right. All right, so also, let's talk about Murphy renews push for even tougher New Jersey gun laws after proposals stalled. All right, so speaking from the pulpit of a Patterson church, Governor Phil Murphy on Tuesday renewed his call for state lawmakers to pass a package of bills to further tighten the New Jersey's already strict gun laws. He did this from the pulpit in the church. He said, hey, I need you to come down here and come up with some stricter gun laws for New Jersey.
You know, he's an old white guy, right?
Yeah, I know. I just had to give it that because it was in a black church.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was in a black church. Day after day, members of our New Jersey family are being shot and killed, according to Murphy. I know. I'm sorry.
No, keep going. Keep going.
It said that an event in St. Luke Baptist Church, I said, attending by a number of other Democratic officials. It's outrageous. Their state government in Trenton, New Jersey, is not doing everything they can to stem the violence. I know, right? I know. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
No.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll behave myself. Moving on. The Army, the United States Army's next generational squad weapon contract has been announced. That's right. The U.S. Army announced the award of a 10-year firm fixed price follow-up on production contract to Sig Sauer. That's right.
Fixed price contract.
Fixed.
Okay. Because they see what's happening with this inflation. The fact that it's 8 to 10% a month.
So the XM5 rifle and the XM250 automatic rifle and the 6.8 common cartridge family of ammunition. So this award was made following a rigorous 27-month prototype and evaluation effort that included numerous technical tests and soldier touch points of 3 competing prototype systems. So the X5 rifle will replace the M4A1 carbine within the close combat force, and the XM250 automatic rifle is planned to replace is going to be the replacement for the M249 squad automatic weapon.
The SAW.
That's right. So we'll see how that does. That means, man, I hope that was enough time for them to evaluate it. 27 months.
So now they're going to 6.8 millimeter.
Ooh, big guns. All right, so we'll see how that goes. All right, so Columbus. Is this Columbus, Georgia, or Columbus, Ohio? All right, it's Columbus. Columbus, Ohio. It's a crime not to report a stolen gun to police. Read that story in Columbus. Check that out. You see it? Columbus there?
Columbus?
Yeah, read that. Columbus. It's in Columbus. It's Columbus police absolutely alarmed about a trend of stolen guns from cars. You see it? All right. So if you leave, please, people, don't leave your gun in your car, because you leave your gun in your car, that's how criminals get their hands on firearms.
And they say a lot of these cars are unlocked.
That's right. Usually unlocked vehicles.
25 reports of stolen guns when car owners knew how the crooks got inside. Most of them reported they left their cars unlocked.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
How do you even leave your car unlocked?
Don't leave it unlocked. You know why? Because people have their key fob in their pocket. And typically when they get home, they take their clothes off or whatever, sit something down on the key fob, and they accidentally unlock their vehicle by mistake. It happens a lot. So one of the first things I do before I go to bed at night is I double check that all the vehicles are locked in the driveway. And I don't leave my guns in my vehicle. I remove them from the vehicle and bring them inside the house. Yeah, one more time.
Oops.
Yeah, exactly. So don't do that. Remove the guns from the vehicle, bring them inside, and double check. Make sure your vehicle's doors are locked, and then turn your alarm on and lock all the doors and windows inside the house. That's how you make sure you're safe.
They just signed the state's new permitless carry law. Well, the governor did. And it starts next month.
All right. Over in Florida, Florida sheriff promotes gun safety. Of course, for residents to shoot home invaders. This sheriff says, you know what? We're done. We don't have the funding to answer all the calls. There's not enough police per capita of people in the county. So look, people, take a gun safety course, go to the range, practice, become proficient, learn what the laws are, and then protect yourself and use force or deadly forces, because the paramedics will get there before the police will get there. That's what the sheriff is saying. He's like, look, we don't have enough police. We're not going to get there. We're not, we're coming, but it's going to be some time. The paramedics will be there long before we get there. So, you know what? go ahead and use force, deadly force. Make sure you're doing the right thing. Get yourself a good attorney. Take some classes. Get some training. And defend yourself. So this sheriff in Florida encourages all his residents to take that gun safety course. So police arrested Brandon J. Harris, 32, who was arrested after allegedly breaking into several homes in Pace, Florida, and was stopped by a homeowner who fired multiple gunshots at him. As the calls of the break-ins began to come in to the sheriff's office at around 4:30 p.m. This dude was doing this at 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Who breaks into homes at 4:30 p.m.?
It's the wrong time to be breaking into homes.
4:30. I tell you. So according to the police, it's just insane. So I just don't get it. I don't get it. When it comes to using force or deadly force, when it comes to you protecting yourself as a person, if someone is committing aggravated kidnapping, murder, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault, robbery, aggravated robbery, you can use force or deadly force to stop them. Okay. Aggravated kidnapping is what the law says. The law does not say kidnapping, unfortunately. The reason the law does not say kidnapping by itself, and it actually says aggravated kidnapping, is because when they were debating this at the Texas legislature, they said, you know what? We don't want regular citizens, to husband and wives to wind up in a dispute over child custody, exchanging kids for the weekend and end up in a shootout on who's supposed to get the kids, who's not. Because I don't know if you know this or not, the majority of what are those alerts that we get on the phone all the time?
Amber alerts.
The Amber alerts are usually a family member. And so, they said, hey, so we're not going to allow you to use, deadly force for simple kidnapping, but if it's aggravated kidnapping, if they're holding the kid for holding them for ransom, use them as a shield, trying to kill them, then you can use force or deadly force to stop them. So it says aggravated kidnapping, and then it says murder. It does not say pushing you. It does not say hitting you. It does not say shoving you. It does not say slapping you. It says, is this person trying to kill you? Are they trying to kill you? They're killing you. You can use force or deadly force to stop them because life is precious. So you can use force or deadly force if it's aggravated kidnapping, murder, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault, robbery, aggravated robbery. Robbery is if someone's taking something from you with force. Give me your wallet. Give me your phone. They're doing it with force. Then you can use force, deadly force to stop them. Aggravated robbery, production of a weapon, a knife, or gun. They're taking it with force with a weapon. That's aggravated robbery. Theft is actually different from robbery and aggravated robbery. Theft is if someone walks into a store, they take something off the shelf, put it in their pocket, that is theft. Theft is if the UPS driver delivers a package, puts it on the front door, or the Amazon driver delivers a package, puts it on the front door, jumps in their vehicle, drives off. Someone comes in behind them and takes that package. That is theft. Okay? So the difference between robbery and aggravated robbery. That there is a case of theft. That is why you're seeing in California, people are taking shopping carts into the grocery store, loading them up, and then casually walking out to their vehicle and putting the groceries in their vehicle and driving off because that is theft. And it's, the law says, hey, you can't do a whole bunch about theft, especially during the daytime. Not in Texas. At night, 30 minutes before sunrise, 30 minutes after sunset, you can use force or deadly force to stop them. As always, more guns equals less crime. You go out there and you buy yourself a gun. You listen, Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.